now. What is up, everybody? It is time for a little bit of a smaller Thursday slate, broken up. We had the early slate, we had the night slate. Also, want to be hearing from our guy Stan a little bit more in chat here, because we got Stan, says he was a longtime Roto Grinders user. He switched to Stokastic recently, currently in second place for the early slate, and he says thanks for the help. So, Stan, keep us abreast of your ongoings here. I want to know, do you end up coming in second? Do you end up coming in first? Do you come in third? Do you come in 0th place? Do you come above first place? I want to know where you end up finishing, Stan. So let us know over the course of the show. Also, what is it that you're rooting for the early slate? I mean, obviously your lineups do better, but like specifically, are you rooting for certain guys, rooting against certain guys? Let us know what the sweat is. We could cheer it alongside with you as we go through the show here. But guys, do us a favor as you're watching, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you guys do want to sign up for any of the packages at Stokastic, like Stan, who is currently sweating out a GPP. All the links to sign up are down below in the YouTube description box. We also have our link join program. So if you guys do want to sign up for any of our partners, link down below. For each one of these you sign up for, you get 1 free month of core access to a sport of your choosing, and take advantage of these before they go away. We said it yesterday. Maybe it was 2 days ago. I don't know. Time is, it just happens and then it's gone.
It's a flat circle.
But yeah. We had Vivid Picks was in our affiliate program, and they pulled out. They didn't want to be a part of it anymore. So we never know how long these things are going to be around for. It's outside of our control at times. So take advantage of these offers, because don't take them for granted. One day they're here, one day they're gone. We got Profit X most recently added to the affiliate program. We've got Vivid Picks no longer a part of it, but this is the most cost-effective way for you to take advantage of all the tools we have on our site. And also, a lot of these sites, they offer things like big free bets, deposit bonus offers of $200, $300. So you're getting all kinds of value on top of just the free access to Stokastic core sims for any sport of your choosing. So take advantage of that. Eric, I don't want to dilly-dally too much here, considering that the slate is going to be locking in 40 minutes, but any general thoughts you have for tonight's smaller slate?
Yeah, it's fun because you get an opportunity. I mean, we've had just some absolutely dog shit pitching slates on 14 gamers. Today we get like a good one, but I don't know how far Cole Reagans is going to go into this one. Framber Valdez is coming off by far his best start of the season, and Max Fried's been good all year. We then have guys in the mid-range who have strikeout rates who are in scary spots, I would say. Mitch Keller, going up against Houston here, probably a better spot, but we'll talk about the ins and outs of it because it's basically 3 really good pitchers and then a bunch of crap, but we're going to try to make the crap work so we can play some expensive bats.
Yeah, and let's get into the pitcher talk here. And you guys can see the ownership on screen. Relative to the size of the slate, it's not anything too crazy in terms of ownership. You know, we've got the most popular pitchers, Max Fried at 40%. Then you get 2 pitchers who are right around 30% owned, and Framber Valdez and Ryan Pepio on the cheap end. You got Cole Reagans at 24% owned, Mitch Keller 21% owned, Matthew Liberatore and Jack Leiter. They're both in the mid-teens in terms of ownership. And then the other guys we have on the slate, Ciccone, Colin Ray, Jake Irvin, they're going relatively unowned for the slate. Let's start with the pay-up options, though, Eric. We've got 3 pitchers here, and they are 3 of the 4 most popular pitchers on the slate, in Fried, Valdez, and Cole Reagans. Who's your favorite pitcher to pay up for today?
Max Fried, but I think that's kind of everybody's. Cleveland against lefties, you get to kind of isolate a little bit. I mean, he goes yard for an 11th time yesterday. You get an opportunity to kind of neutralize Kyle Manzardo. Jose Ramirez, a weaker side. You get to do a lot of good things against a Cleveland lineup with David Fry back in, who does like to strike out quite a bit. Overall, it's just a really good pitcher. So far, this is the best version we've seen of Max Fried in quite some time. And a guy that I know you and I were both down on coming into the season, where it's like, you just didn't see him kind of capturing upside in a bottle again. And I cheer for him. He went to high school at Harvard Westlake with a bunch of buddies of mine out in Thousand Oaks, but I believe that's the same high school that Yelich went to, too, if I'm being correct. But anyway, that's not here nor there. You've got Max Fried on the mound, 3.64 expected ERA, 1.92 ERA, and across the board, 23.5% K rate. He just is so damn secure. 18.5 outs. I've actually been contemplating if I want to play on that at like plus 155 all day. He's really good. He doesn't have like crazy strikeout stuff, but I don't think that's kind of a concern on this slate whatsoever.
Yeah, when you get the slates that are 5 games, it's not necessarily always you need to capture, the most upside possible. because sometimes it just doesn't exist. There might not be a pitcher that scores 30 plus fantasy points today. And, like Framber Valdez, really good pitcher overall, but typically not a guy who generates a lot of strikeouts. I know you mentioned Cole Reagans as well as somebody who we don't know exactly what the pitch count is going to look like. I've got everything running through the Sims right now. So that's something that at the very least, like, I don't think either of us expect him to go 100 pitches, correct?
No, no. I no clue where he's going to land at. I think he's the biggest wild card on the slate.
Yeah. So like I look at Cole Reagans and he's clearly the highest strikeout upside pitcher. I'm just realizing how many lefties are on the slate too. That didn't really hit me until right now, but a lot of left-handed starters. But between Fried, Valdez, and Reagans has the highest strikeout upside, but that's kind of mitigated when he is coming back from injury, and we don't expect him to work all that deep into the game. And then the rest of the pitchers on the slate, there's like some okay arms, but it's nobody who's near the quality of the top 3 pitchers that we have to look at. So I just finished the sim run. Let's see, who did I end up with the most on the high end? And it is Fried.
Max Fried.
So Fried. I ended up, okay, so I am slightly overweight to the field on Fried, slightly overweight to the field on Valdez, Eric, but I'm coming in slightly underweight to the field on Cole Reagans, which I feel pretty decent about that. I mean, he's pretty popular for a pitcher who we think could be restricted. Obviously, he's lights out. He could end up having a really good game, even in only 5 innings. But my preference when he's going to be this popular and we don't know what the pitch count is going to be, I'd rather be looking elsewhere. But overall, Fried, Valdez, that's the combo that I want to be going with in cash games. Is that the same for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, these are the kind of spots where a Sportsbook is going to do that thing where they're adding an extra 5-10 cents to the VIG on like both sides of it in some capacity, wherever it lands. 5.5 is the number. We're seeing minus 150 on the under at DraftKings, plus 115. So like, this is not your typical like 10 cents both side. It's not even a dime line. It's like 15-cent lines, kind of the recurring thing in the strikeout market. You look at a guy like Jack Leiter, minus 130, plus 100, 15 cents basically is kind of the running rate, unless it's circa penny or somewhere like that. Cole Reagans, though, at the exchanges sits at like minus 129 on the under, plus 120 on the over. I really don't know what to make of Cole Reagans. He got up to 62 pitches in his last rehab start. It becomes this like guessing game also because it's now a doubleheader, whereas it was supposed to be an individual start on a Thursday. And it kind of puts a little bit of things into flux because like you do have more of a tapped out bullpen. They ended up going into extras. They utilized Schreiber and Lynch and Clark and Bowlen and Estevez. Estevez is not pitching in this game. So like Cole Reagans, you would think they want to get some kind of depth out, but I have no clue what to make of it. And he's pulling only 24% ownership. So right now I'm over to it, but I'm curious what you think about this kind of a spot because I'm trying to like read all the signs and see all the tea leaves and I can't make any sense out of it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I went over that. I've not got a ton of Cole. If Cole Reagans was unowned by the field, I would just play him and say, let's roll the dice. Did see also we had in YouTube chat, Isaac W said he pitched 62 pitches in his last rehab start. So, it's unlikely to me he's going to go deep enough in the game to warrant the ownership he has. It's not to say the upside is impossible. I just don't think it warrants the ownership that he's currently drawing. I have him in about 10% of lineups right now. That's a number I feel pretty good with. Okay. Well, I guess to play a little bit of devil's advocate, he's got the same K prop as like a Max Fried today at 5.5. Obviously, one we can assume pitch 105, 110 pitches if need be. And I just talked about how I'm contemplating his over 18.5 outs prop because it's plus money and I'm not sure it should be. And then you get Framber Valdez, who, gets to be in the best spot and also gets to be there. And, as you said, it's one of those weird situations where, the guy with the best K prop on the entire slate, Framber Valdez, is actually lower owned. He's in a better spot. And I guess it's kind of maybe unnecessary, but my main thing is like, if Cole Reagans gets ramped up to 85, 90 pitches right from the jump, then you're on a 5-gamer, you would expect, it's just volatile. It's extremely volatile. As you said, he's pulling enough ownership, the third most popular pitcher, where you can make a case for just saying, give me the rest of the field, kind of scattershot between Pepio and Liberatore and some of these other goobers. But I will say the taxed out doubleheader portion of it kind of plays mind games with me. And there's a world where I think Cole Reagans pitches deeper into this one than we think, but
we won't know until it happens. And, you got to play this slate with what everybody else is doing. And, he's pulling enough ownership where I get where you're coming from to undercut it.
For what it's worth, Reagan's strikeout prop is going to be 4.5 soon. It's 5.5 on FanDuel, but it keeps moving down. So it's 5.5, but minus 136 on the under now. It was because it was plus money on I'm just trying to go off memory when I was looking at this. It was plus money on the under probably like 2 hours ago, and it's gone from that to minus 136 on the under.
Yeah, I brought up the exchanges where it's plus 120, minus 129 on Profit X right now, and just kind of like I think the exchanges are starting to be kind of like a good place to kind of get a gauge for exactly what's going on, because you can see how much money, how much liquidity there is in the market. And it is one of those things where if you're limited at a book and they're able to go over there and just scoop up as much action on one side of it as they can, I mean, we see a lot of money coming in on that under right now. So I am inclined to think that he's going to pitch shorter, but, we might get to the flip. But if he's 20% owned, I mean, that would be a guy on this slate I'd probably want to roll the dice on, because there's no other strikeout prop that sits at the 5.5 number besides Pepio, Cole Reagans, Max Fried, and Framber Valdez. And one of them is pitching in the apocalyptic ballpark. One of them pitches in a terrible ballpark every day, Max Fried. Framber Valdez is probably in the safe spot. I guess I'm a little surprised to see Framber coming off of an evisceration be lower owned than Max Fried, but I guess we just have unlimited salary to spend on stuff.
Yeah, and then something else too about some of the strikeout props. Valdez, his strikeout prop is 5.5, but it's minus 160 on the over.
Oh yeah.
So by the time we're at lock, I think we could be seeing Cole Reagans with a 4.5 strikeout prop, Valdez with a 6.5 strikeout prop. The one concern that you have to have, at least to some extent, with Framber Valdez, I see people asking about about this in chat, is there's about a 25% chance of rain right now in Pittsburgh. And should that game be hit with rain in the middle of it, there is some risk that Valdez just gets cut short, his outing, if there's a rain delay in the middle. I don't think it's the most likely scenario, so I'm not adjusting any of my exposures to it, but it is something that is a little bit of a risk. It's just what is the alternative at that point? If I'm going to say that I'm not certain with Valdez's pitch count because of rain, if I'm not certain with Cole Reagan's pitch count because he has pitch count concerns, he's coming off the injured list, then it's I don't just want to get to a point where I'm just playing crappy pitchers because I feel like I can't play the better pitchers. And I do think the most likely scenario is that Valdez is able to get through the game and it won't really be all that much of an issue. So can't say that there's no risk involved, but I think it's fairly minimal.
Okay. Yeah, it definitely feels risky, and it definitely feels like the ownership's going to keep coming down because of that report of the weather. But just want to at least point out, we've got kind of identical quantities from a strikeout perspective. The outs are a different story. And, weather pending, I mean, the Framber thing could have been out of control today coming off of last time out and the spot that he's in. I mean, you can't ask for a better spot than Pittsburgh against a lefty. I mean, that's about as good as it gets. Besides, I guess Miami maybe is now the new stepping stone after a sweep. Colorado sweeping anybody is just laughable. You go from 8 to 11 wins. Maybe the best social media post that I've ever seen, the Scotty Scheffler one that the Colorado Rockies posted back. It was just beautiful, beautiful stuff. But now we get to go into if you thought it was bad talking about Cole Reagans and Framber Valdez with, coming off of injury and weather risk, let's get into the next mix because woof.
Yeah, so once you get to the next grouping of pitchers, and just for the sake of time, I think we kind of group all of these guys together. But here's what you got on the below 9K range, because everybody else, I think, is just in a separate tier from these pitchers anyway. Mitch Keller's 21% owned. Matthew Liberatore's 15% owned. Pepio, he's your value chalk at 30% ownership. Jack Leiter's 14% owned. If you're rostering a pitcher who is not one of the 3 spend-up options, who is your preference amongst the rest of the bunch?
It's disturbing. It's awful, but it's definitely Ryan Pepio. I mean, I like the stuff overall. You look at his stuff plus, that's something Jesse and I were going back and forth about on Twitter the other night. And I'm not a Ryan Pepio hater, but the strikeout rate's down. He's giving up a lot of fly ball contact, and the ballpark that he pitches at for a home ballpark is exponentially worse. And I talk about this with the Athletics. I talk about it with Tampa. We're just going to see some of these home road splits that we generally see for Coors because of how ridiculous these ballparks are. They're going to play small. And as we get into June and July here, as we get further into summer, it is only going to get exponentially worse. But Ryan Pepiot has really good off-speed stuff. He gets to go up against a Texas lineup that has been underperforming, to say the nicest words that I possibly can about it. And he carries that 5.5K prop. It sits up there kind of in that same territory. Sure, it's juiced heavily towards the under, just like it is for Cole Reagans, just like it is right now for Max Fried, who's, I guess basically even money both sides, but minus 125 at DK, minus 105 on the over. I think you got to probably look at Ryan Pepiot as the guy that should be absorbing all of that ownership if Framber Valdez and Mitch Keller are going to get pulled a little bit off the pulled off the board to some extent because of the weather.
Yeah, I don't think it'll really change too much. I think that should be a non-issue for ownership, just because people just have to roster somebody, and there's only so many options. So unless something really drastic changes with their ownership, I'm going to expect nothing to change there either. Oh, I love this super chat. Listen to this one. Our friend News God. I got to put this one up on screen. It's not enough to just read it. It's got to be on screen. I'm just here to listen to Greg say mean things to Eric. I think that's why most people watch. And what's the alternative? They're listening for your analysis? No. Like, what are they listening for? It makes sense. Shout out News God. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you for supporting the show here. By the way, guys, go follow News God over on Twitter. I know people say all the time that oh, look at that. He left. Now he's back. Something happened with your camera there. His camera is working less than he does. So you're just gonna set me up for jokes and pretend I'm not gonna do anything about it?
No, go ahead. Fine. It's fine. We're having fun. We're having fun.
Follow News God on Twitter, by the way. People ask all the time, how can I get better lineup news? Because people bring up that the green check marks broken. Do you see the other day, Eric? People are going crazy because Jose Altuve was not listed on DraftKings in the starting lineup for the Astros. And we liked Jose Altuve on the show. Big back and forth. People like, nope, Jose Altuve not starting today. What happens? Jose Altuve starts that game and has a big day. If you guys were following News God on Twitter, you would have seen the lineups and known that. You guys know what you get if you follow Eric on Twitter? Tell him, Eric.
Lindy's lanes, likes, and locks.
You get home run picks? You get home run picks? What else do you do? Tell them what else you do.
I'm just a Muppet. Don't mind me. We're just having a blast.
Yeah, go follow Eric on Twitter as well. By the way, if you guys haven't done it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you guys are in our Discord channel, you have any questions for us over the course of the show, hit us up here so that we can answer any of the questions you have. Clintwood83 says he just got home. He wants to know who do we like for DK Cash. I think for single entry Cash, well, actually for both formats, Fried and Valdez, it's pretty easy for me. I think you'd agree with that before, right, Eric?
Yes, I would.
Yeah. Einstein, you want to know.
A jerk.
No pushback here. No pushback. Mm-hmm. I'll take that feedback, Eric.
You're welcome. You will. Radical of you.
Sometimes the jokes are for nobody but us. Yep. Einsteinium wants to know, have we considered Colin Ray? So here's the reality. On a slate with, 5 games, 10 pitchers, to some extent, you're considering everybody. But as far as Colin Ray goes, he's not somebody who's really landing in my lineups. There are some contrarian pitchers I like that we could talk about a little bit here. No, I'm not doing anything too crazy. Like I don't have a Ciccone and Irvin or a Colin Ray stand or anything like that. But I am overweight to some of the other lesser-owned pitchers. But Colin Ray isn't somebody who I really want to be playing a lot of. Is there a contrarian pitcher, and you could take this however you want, any of the guys who are a little bit lesser-owned that you like more than the field does?
There's a world where I play a little bit of Slade Ciccone, but I'm not excited about it. I'm playing 20 lineups right now. I'm, a little bit less than normal. I've been playing MLB DFS since this morning, doing some betting. Obviously going to be focused on betting from now until forever, until the end of the night. But Slade Ciccone at least is up to 95 pitches last time out, which was a lot more than I was expecting to look at. He's only 25 years of age, but I think the one thing about Slade Ciccone is that he's got interesting mix that I think is eventually going to spike strikeouts. And he's in the right organization. Cleveland can really, really do some stuff with starting pitchers, and he's going to give up hard contact. So there's that. But if you're trying to win a GPP, he's got a 25.5% K rate since he's been acquired here by the Cleveland Guardians. He looks like he's going to be one of those dudes who gets shelled, but also with the curveball specifically, utilizing that against some of these lefties. I think 52.4% whiff percentage. I have it graded out really, really nicely. Good stuff. Plus, like, Slate Ciccone has good stuff. He just gets annihilated. And so if you're trying to embrace something as far as volatility, I'd rather play 0% Jake Irvin. I'd rather play 0% Colin Ray. I'd rather play 0% Jack Leiter. Like, I have a little Jack Leiter, nothing crazy, but Slate Ciccone is in 15% of lineups, and it's purely because he can get those swings and misses.
Yeah, so like I said, there's nobody crazy contrarian I'm playing a lot of because there's only 3 of them: Ciccone, Ray, Jake Irvin. So none of them am I playing, a ton of or anything like that. But the lowest owned pitcher who I am overweight to, that I don't mind having show up in lineups, it is Jack Leiter. And once again, it's just kind of relative to what the other options are here. So if I'm looking to go cheap at pitching, Pepio, I'm in line with the field. I think the ownership is reasonable. I really like stacking against him as well, though, to get some leverage. But Jack Leiter at $6,500, at the very least, he's got good stuff. His numbers are not terrible this year either. We're talking about a guy who is a former top pick in the draft. He has now a 3.66 ERA, 4.74 expected ERA. So that's not great. 4.25 FIP, though. Like a middling pitcher who's $6,500 isn't pulling that much ownership on a 5-game slate. I'm kind of grasping at straws, but he's like the one cheap guy I'm overweight to the field to, because, the other options here, if we're looking on the really cheap end and guys who are sub 20% owned or just cheap in general, like I don't love Ciccone. I don't love Irvin. Ryan Pepio, he's reasonable, but the field's also there already. Colin Ray's a no. And then it's, if I'm going to be overweight to somebody, it's, to me, kind of like Jack Leiter by default, unless I'm just going to play like 50% of Ryan Pepio. So Jack Leiter, taking some shots on him, don't feel great about it. But hey, 98 mile per hour average fastball velocity this year, that's something. But once again, just kind of grasping at straws.
Yeah, it's kind of the way that I feel about this entire range. But again, you're trying to get into some goober territory here. The chalk for sure is good chalk relative to all these other guys we're talking about. But in the sake of getting different with some of the chalkier stacks, I prefer slightly Ciccone, but like it's just they're both just not appealing. It's purely leverage ownership.
Yeah, I mean, the name value at the bottom of pitching, it is not great. It's not like as bad as the top of the PGA leaderboard right now, which is it's a real who's who. And by who's who, I mean literally like, oh, who the hell is that? Is the top of the PGA DFS leaderboard right now? Like Cristobal Del Soler in first place right now, shooting a billion under par today. It is a random ass event right now, but whatever. Only 15 minutes left to go here. Neither here nor there. Anything you want to add about the DraftKings pitching? If not, we'll look at the FanDuel side real quick.
Liberatore, I saw some people talking about him. I would rather fire him up on FanDuel, especially because I just brought it up. I'm not going to bring it up on one side, not bring it up over here. You had O'Brien, King, Helsley, and Romero. Romero's not going to be able to close here. Helsley is not going to be able to set up. So they ended up utilizing their 2 main guys out of the pen there. I think Liberatore probably gets some kind of work no matter what. If he gets lit up, probably has to eat it. But I think it's a pretty decent spot for him. But on DK, I just don't really see the upside. You'd have to really outperform in terms of strikeouts. I think on FanDuel is probably where we're going to take a look at him.
All right, so let's go ahead and look at the FanDuel side of things, where he's actually not on the FanDuel slate because there's a little bit of a different start time.
Oh, that's what it is. All right. Well, I was just thinking out loud. Obviously, I'm not playing FanDuel, but like they didn't include the second part of the doubleheader, so you have they didn't include the second part of the doubleheader.
So there's no Cardinals, there's no Royals. So we do have a lesser pool of pitchers to choose from. Here's what you got. You got 4 pitchers who are pulling ownership: Mitch Keller, Ryan Pepio, Max Fried, Framber Valdez. Max Fried, your chalk over on FanDuel. For FanDuel, Jack Leiter's $8,200. I don't really want to play him over on FanDuel. Colin Ray, Ciccone, Jake Irvin. They're also $77, $75, $8,100. I personally can't really make a strong case for any of the sub 10% owned guys, Eric.
I can't either. Not a single one. I would be playing 100% of Fried Valdez. I guess the push and pull is with the weather on Valdez. You are really getting punished on FanDuel with one pitcher if something happens in game there. We got 14 minutes before lock. You really got to be peeled to that one, but I would be heavily skewed in favor of Fried on FanDuel.
Yeah, he's popular, 32%, but keep in mind as well, there's one less game on the FanDuel side of things, and strikeout matters a little bit less on FanDuel as well. Depth, wins, those things matter more on the FanDuel side. So this is one I'm just going to say roll with the chalk and go to Max Fried. I prefer him to Framber Valdez, who's the second most popular pitcher. Pepio and Mitch Keller. I mean, Pepio's 9K and 15% owned on FanDuel.
Wow. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Just play the chalk there. I think there are ways to get different on both FanDuel and DraftKings. I think in some of the same ways, but at pitcher, I think just roll out with the chalk. And cash game's super easy. That your guy should be Max Fried over on FanDuel on the single pitcher site. Let's talk stacks. And where we always start here, Eric, if you're playing just one lineup, what is the team you'd be stacking in that one lineup?
Oh, it is definitely, without a doubt, without a question in my mind, the Chicago Cubs. Like, it is the Cubs. It is the Cubs, and then it's the Cubs again. I have never been a Jake Irvin guy. And last year, I would say probably the most extreme back and forth. This guy told me to go blow my face off. That was not very nice. I don't know if he meant it sexually or with a gun, but we're not going to worry about either of those. I basically just said Jake Irvin is due for massive, massive regression and that he's not very good. And this guy wanted my head. He tried to get me riled up, tried to just go completely bonkers on me. But you know who's laughing now? Me. Also, who's actually a Washington Nationals fan? I didn't see any fans at the game other than blue jerseys, Cubs fans that were out there watching the game yesterday. And I was watching because Mackenzie Gore, 7 strikeouts, good times. But Jake Irvin has a 362 XWOBA, 11.5% barrel percentage, and you get Kyle Tucker back in this lineup. I don't see a planet where it wouldn't be the Cubs, Greg.
It's a lot of ownership. It's a lot of ownership on the Cubs at 16%.
And they're underowned. They're the most positively leveraged stack on the slate.
But the issue I always take is the way that I try to figure ownerships for single entries is I'm pretty sure the Cubs hitters are going to be 25-ish% owned as a team in single entry. For large field tournaments, yeah, sure, go ahead and roll them out. For single entry, smaller field stuff, I think they're going to be really, really popular. I think the two most popular teams in single entry are probably going to be the Tampa Bay Rays and the Chicago Cubs. So I want to get different for single entry and try to figure out what's the most reasonable upside team that I could get to. And for me, and also finding a little bit of leverage, because I think Pepio will be pulling some ownership for people looking to pay up for the Yankees and the Cubs. I like rolling out the Texas Rangers in single entry. Also a team that I like as a stack in large field tournaments. Pepio, I'm also on the same page of I think he's underpriced for the slate, and I do think he's probably a better pitcher than people realize. But with that said, he's 30% owned in an uber hitter-friendly environment. We saw this matchup, not all that. Oh, no, it was, I'm thinking of a Houston versus Tampa Bay, different Texas team. But either way, Ryan Pepio pitching at home in Tampa, that Tampa Bay ballpark shit could go arrive really, really quickly. I just don't think that Pepio should ever really be 30% owned on a given slate. So if you want to punt with him, it's certainly not unreasonable. But my real preference for this game is to get overweight to the Texas Rangers. And I like playing lineups. Texas Rangers, cheap stack, easy to pay up for pitching. You go Rangers, and then you go with Framber Valdez and Max Fried as your pitchers. I like that as a lineup build.
I don't mind that at all. Again, get to the top and then get the leverage on the one cheapie that everybody's going to click on that I talked about. No problem with that in single entry. I do think that there's enough ways that I can kind of put some unique spins on Cubs stacks that I wouldn't be too concerned. My thing about the Cubs, Greg, is that they just have stolen base equity through the moon every single time that they're up there. That's the reason that the Sims gave us so much of them, even with wind blowing in at Wrigley at times. They put up fantasy points, and it doesn't look ridiculous in the box score always. Now, Pete Armstrong and Kyle Tucker and Seiya Suzuki sure do, but I'm saying the rest of them, like everybody else in this lineup, has some sort of like dominance on the base paths. Like they are so freaking good at just accumulating fantasy points. You look at their fantasy points per game up and down the lineup, and it just kind of like bears out what I'm saying. So keep that in mind. Now, obviously, I'm not expecting Michael Busch or Reese McGuire or anybody like that, but like Nico Horner, and you're going to eventually see Shaw rack up stolen bases. He has 5 on the season, which is not terrible for an 8-9 hitter, but like there are so many guys who have that ability to run on this team. And I think when you add that into Jake Irvin is horrible against everybody, it's a really tough team on a short slate for me to get away from. I think I can get different enough with the other 3 batters. I can get different enough within that Chicago Cubs stack where I'd still probably roll them out in single entry today.
Yeah. So Cubs, like, once again, don't have an issue with them. If you look at them, the top stacks, so they got by a mile the highest top stack odds on the entire slate. But the positive leverage comes from what some of the ownership is expected to be in large field tournaments. I think it's going to be higher in single entry. It's going to be the Texas Rangers, so I think you're going to be like the 4th or 3rd lowest owned team in single entry, and you get some leverage against who I assume is going to be the 3rd most popular pitcher in single entry in Ryan Pepio. I also like the Rangers a good amount for large field GPPs. Are there any other teams that you have your eyes set on? Obviously for a 5-game slate, if you're playing a bunch of lineups, you're going to have, at least some sort of consideration to all of these teams, but anything that you are finding yourself to be quite a bit overweight to the field too.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I mean, obviously Texas, you brought up the perfect situation for them where you're getting the leverage and they're in a great ballpark, great hitting situation, and the weather looks better there today than it has the previous 2 games. So that's all great and cool and stuff of that nature. But like, if we get Cole Reagans limited, you're getting a worse bullpen for St. Louis behind it, for Kansas City behind it. And so I'm trying to figure out what I want to do exactly with St. Louis. I think there's probably some increased pinch hit risk that isn't like, that's somewhat hard to account for, but it's a doubleheader. And I expect most of these guys, like they have their top 6 still kind of in strict order with Nootbaar, Wynn, Donovan, Contreras, Herrera, Arenado. But like, I guess St. Louis is the one team that I'm trying to figure out what I want to do before lock, if I want to roll out any 5s of them, because they're not popping in the sims right now. But if you get like 70, 80 pitches for Cole Reagans, and then you get to this middle section of bullpens, and then you get the worst version of the bullpen because both teams torched their best pieces from it in that first game that went into extras, I think St. Louis is going to come in really underappreciated for what the pitching situation could be on the Kansas City side for 5-6 innings of that game.
One thing that's really interesting to me is I'll double check right here, but lineups not out for, still no lineup for Kansas City, I believe.
Okay. I had it out. I got it.
Was it out?
Yeah, it's out already. India, Witt, Garcia, Pasquantino, Perez, Caglianone, Canna, Lofton, Furman. It's not very good at the bottom. But
I guess I just here it is. Never mind. Yeah, I don't know why I thought it wasn't officially out yet. But anyway, that's going to make the point that I was going to make invalid. But anyway, for other teams that I'm liking for tournaments, so another team that kind of stands out to me for this slate is the Washington Nationals. So you got the Nationals, who do have some ownership going to them at 11.7%, 11% ownership. But I did get to 17% of them as 5-man stacks in the Sims. So that's something that I feel like I kind of have to talk about them a little bit here. It's not the best offense in the world, but it's a top-loaded offense, which is kind of nice for stacks. If they are productive, we know where that production is generally going to be coming from. And then also, Colin Ray is pretty mediocre as a pitcher. 3.96 ERA this year, 4.58 expected ERA, 4.34 FIP. Last year, he had a 4.29 ERA, a 4.91 expected ERA. And then also, if you look at any projections for him, he's like somewhere between a 4.5 to 5 ERA for the rest of the season. I just don't really believe in Colin Ray all that much as a starting pitcher. And I do like that if the Nationals offense has a big game, we know all of the guys who are going to be producing for them.
That's a fair point. Yeah, how about Cleveland? I mean, Max Fried has been awesome this season. I guess just looking at finishing it out, they have like the second worst top stack odds, but they have a 10.5% top value percentage. And like, there are pieces of it that I think can actually work out well in lineups. Like David Fry is 2,900 and he has that interesting first base catcher eligibility. I think if you're going to roll out some lineups again, he was unbelievable last year against lefties. I don't expect him to be that good going forward. Cash cow David Fry, but he's back in our lives. He's only 3 games, 5 at bats into this season. I think David Fry and like some of the Cleveland pieces are at least interesting against the most popular pitcher on the slate.
Yeah. And by the way, we did just get the that lineup also is posted to Discord now. So we've got all of the lineups that are in for today. We did get a super chat that came in as well here from Clintonwood83. Wants to know he needs an unbiased opinion for his Rangers for DK single entry. It's my favorite team to stack for single entry. I like the Rangers quite a bit. If you want to go with the most popular team, like I don't think it's unwarranted to go to the Cubs or anything like that. But if you're looking for a lower owned team, I really like the Rangers, and I like those spots where we get a little bit of leverage as well.
Yep.
Are the Rangers a team you're getting to for large field GPPs?
Second most, yeah. Second
Nice.
most popular. Yep.
All right. Sounds good to me. Just 3 minutes left to go here. So any final thoughts on stacks?
No, I think we covered it for, only 10 available to you. We got news that Houston-Pittsburgh, it's going to be delayed for rain. I think that's probably a good thing for your starting pitchers there, but they don't play tomorrow, so that kind of creates a problem for traveling. Houston plays Cleveland tomorrow, and I can't remember who Pittsburgh plays. I did Phillies. They play the Phillies tomorrow. But yeah, I did some of my stuff for tomorrow's slate already, so I was kind of covering some of that. They want to get this game in, so I expect them to wait, kind of have this sell go over and finish it out. It might be a lot later and make it somewhat uncomfortable, but there's obviously some urgency to get the game in. And I think Framber Valdez, his ownership should kind of hold where it is now. Feel pretty confident that I don't want to play Pittsburgh. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, so let me pull up the weather over there now. And it's still it's not like there's 100% chance of rain throughout the night or anything like that. I kind of feel it's the same as before. We don't have possibility of the game getting delayed in the middle because it's late at the start. Is it possible the game never plays? Sure, it's a possibility. But I'm willing to roll the dice with that game. And I still think the most likely outcome, although not the guaranteed outcome, is that they end up playing the game. Are you doing anything to change your exposures?
No, and that was what I was just kind of contemplating. I don't have a single batter from that game. I took the entire batter pool out. Somebody double dongs, congratulations in PNC. I'm torched, but I definitely want to play Framber Valdez. I have a tiny bit of Mitch Keller, just 10%, so 2 lineups with him, but I'm pretty okay with just playing 50% Framber Valdez at this point because I've got a lot of Fried, a lot of him, and then just kind of mixing and matching some of the cheapies.
All right, a little bit of a shorter show because Locke really creeped up on us here, so we'll just do really quick. Dong pick, Eric. Let me know who you're picking a homer. I'll give out my homer pick. Not going to have quite enough time to read off picks from the chat here with the slate about to lock. So we'll just hear from us. Who are you picking to go yard?
Corey Seager, plus 360 at BetMGM. We talked about the leverage off of Pepio, and I was kind of making a case for him as a decent mid-range option, and I do agree with that. We'll say you can only play one of him or Josh Smith. Josh Smith lost his third base eligibility. No outfield eligibility, which you've seen pop up for him from time to time, but doesn't really matter. Corey Seager, he has positive regression written all over him. He's going yard today.
Wyatt Langford for me. That is the dong of the day. I'm going with Wyatt Langford. And I'll read off a couple ones from chat here. But Joseph Ramirez said Henry Davis, Josh Young from Clintonwood 83, Aaron Judge from Van Dam NYC. B Funk went with Pete Crow Armstrong for 2 homers. Sotex went with Kyle Tucker. Junior Whopper went with Austin Wells. That does it for us today here, guys. That is the end of the show. But guess what? Game 1 of the NBA Finals is tonight. Josh Engelman, he's going to be on NBA Live Before Lock in a little bit. I think he also said he's going to hang out and play back for a little bit if the game stays competitive. So go watch NBA Live Before Lock. Should be a great NBA Finals. It's been a great NBA playoffs. So check out Josh. Good luck with all your lineups tonight. Later, guys. See you tomorrow.